Hey everybody, really fast at the top of this video, I wanted to let you know that I am doing a bit of work for my buddy Jack from Rerolling Ones. I mentioned him a lot on this show because he's one of the best people I know. Well, right now, not to give too much personal information out, he's going through a rough time. There's some family medical expenses that he's looking to raise some money for. He knows that I sell things on eBay, and so he sent me a whole bunch of kits. You can see all those boxes in the background right there. I have them all up on eBay. You can see it from either the link in the description of this video, as well as a post that I put on the community section of my page. If you have some extra coin and you see something you like, I got stuff for Flesh Eater Court, Slaves to Darkness, Daughters of all bunch of armies. He collected so much. So go ahead, check it out. Any of the proceeds from those sales will go directly to helping him. And yeah, thank you for your time and go check it out. But for the rest of you in the future who are watching this, that sale has long since ended, and today we are here to talk about, boom, the Idoneth Deepkin, because the minute that I posted my Path to Glory review of the Fire Slayers, even though I had like no voice doing so, one of the immediate questions was, do you have one of these for the Deepkin? So that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to go to the downward cam here and look at it together and just have a chat about the Deepkin, because their Path to Glory system is a lot of the same things that I like about the Fire Slayers, but they are, of course, themed to our underwater friends. And what we're going to do when we do these Path to Glory reviews is go through all the various supplement material that they get, and then at the end have a brief overview conversation about how that kind of squares away with some of the actual like allegiance abilities and stuff. So whether you're playing matched play or narrative play, doesn't really matter. The allegiance abilities stay the same. It's just taking those things and putting them in the context of narrative play is where you get a lot of rich flavor. So we're going to pull a Guy Fieri and go to Flavor Town. Let's go to that downward cam. Do please forgive me if my voice cracks here and there. I'm still in recovery mode from my cold, but I am feeling much better and much cleaner. So let's go ahead and crack open. I'm going to do a narrative section or talking about the stories and stuff like that in other videos. So we're going to skip past that, skip past the basic army rules, and jump right to the Path to Glory section. And this is on, what is it, page? Looks like 72. And so here we go, Path to Glory, Quota of Souls. So I'm going to pause here. If you're not familiar with the Idoneth Deepkin and you're watching this to see if it's a faction that interests you, the Deepkin are essentially Teclis's first attempts at remaking the elves of the old world. And so he made them. There was a whole lot of like, you know, pomp and circumstance and magic, and that's why they have these very like elaborate looking armor sets and all these kinds of things. But there was a flaw. The flaw is the overwhelming majority of Deepkin that are born without souls. There's just something wrong with them. What they can do, however, is go collect a soul from another creature or human. They can do like orc souls. They can do anything, okay? And put it inside the body of a soulless, I guess, child. I don't know. And then it can grow up. And those originally soulless Deepkin, when they grow up, those are the Namarti, the ones with no eyes. They're kind of a subservient class. Any of the Deepkin that are born healthy and whole, have a soul as well, are the Achelians. It's kind of like the leading class. And in this case, it's going to be your heroes. It's going to be the eel riders. Anything with eyes, basically, is an Achelian, to put it really, really loosely. Isharen is another subculture that has to do with their magic and ritual. They are also whole and healthy, should say. And so when you do act as a Deepkin player, your goal, thematically, even in match play games, is you're going out to collect souls. That's it. That's your whole job. They don't particularly enjoy long-standing, you know, attrition combats. They are hit and run, and they get what they want, and they run away. That's all they do, and I love it. So, how do we represent that in a game? Quota of Souls. I'm just going to read this. To sustain the ever-growing Idoneth Empire, the Enclaves are charged with the retrieval of souls to both aid their capital city and bolster the ranks of their phalanxes. The nature of this resource is especially rare, and in such demand that there's often too little to meet both their city's quota and the needs of the Idoneth armies. Thankfully, however, there is no better opportunity for the warriors of the deep to meet their quota than through the tides of carnage. So get out there, get to killing. So rules-wise, Each time an enemy unit is destroyed by an attack made with a melee weapon by a friendly Idoneth Deepkin unit, you can say that your warriors will attempt to steal the souls of their defeated foes. If you do so, roll a number of dice for that enemy unit as described below. Each of these rolls is called an extraction roll. For each 4-up, a soul from the destroyed unit is successfully stolen, and you increase your soul quota by 1. So, let's see, if you roll a number of dice for that enemy unit. Okay, so we're looking for 4-ups, but this is the number of dice we're rolling. If you kill a hero or monster, you're going to roll 2d6 dice. So 2d6, let's say you roll a 7, you're going to take 7 dice, roll those. Any 4-up is a harvested soul, okay, or a, extraction point, I guess, is what we're going to call them. If the unit you killed has a wounds characteristic of 3 or more, and it's not a hero or monster, so this would be, retributors, anything, any of those big tanky units that have lots of wounds, brutes, for example, that's this. You're going to roll 6 dice flat, no matter how big the unit is. Wounds characteristic of 2 or less. So this is going to be your hordes and stuff. You get 3. Looking at this, I like the idea. Obviously, you're rewarded for killing things, which I like, to be honest with you, because that's what they want to do. They want to kill them, get the soul. The only thing that makes me kind of take a second look is I wish there was some caveat for massive units. Like, if you take the time to absolutely wipe out a block of 40 clan rats, you're still only making 3 rolls. And I'm like, man, that's so much work compared to 5 brutes, which you would make double the rolls. So that's the only thing. And that's something that can be done in a White Dwarf, hey, bolt this onto the bottom of that. I don't know how I would word it, but it's just the only thing that makes me kind of go, when it comes to that last one. But that's neither here nor there, right? Really, maybe we can just kind of justify it as no matter how big the unit is, if they are that low in wounds, that's a characteristic, maybe those souls just aren't very powerful. And so the souls of bigger stuff is what you want, regardless. So that's my justification off the top of my head. But I like it overall. And so let's go over here to the right. Gifts of the Soul Raids. Once captured, the souls of the defeated are returned to the Idoneth's capital cities. Here, they are utilized by the Isherin to meet the constant demand of their empires, many of whom are more than aware of the gradually increasing deficit and the generals that skew the numbers to maintain their battle lines. So, there is essentially this huge division. Generals want souls for bigger armies to go out and raid and get more souls for bigger armies. And the whole point is to send those souls back home to grow the city. So there's this constant tug of war between the Isherin and the Achelians. During step 2 of the Aftermath sequence, you can spend souls from your soul quota to improve casualty rolls for a unit or determine the outcome of an injury roll. That's terrific. Your ability to take out units directly reflects your ability to heal your units and take care of injury rolls. I love it. Before you make a casualty roll for an Idoneth Deepkin unit, if your soul quota is 3 or more, you can subtract D3 from that soul quota to reduce the number of dice you must roll for that casualty roll by 1. Now, it might seem crazy to have to kill D3 units to be able to lower the casualty score by 1. However, remember, things with Path to Glory are by a unit size basis. So this would be terrific if, say, you had a Alapex die. That's the Shark Chariot. Well, if it dies, it's going to roll 1 casualty die. And if it's a 1, you're hosed. That's it. It's dead. This is the kind of thing where you can be like, you know what? I need that guy alive. He's got a lot of, veteran abilities. I love my Apelex. Sorry, I don't know why it's so hard for me to say. Alapex. But there's actually really good uses for that, especially in an army where there are quite a few units that are one model. Between your heroes, even your cavalry, your eel riders, it's only 3 dudes. 1 casualty from that unit sucks. It just does. So, on the surface, you might be like, well, I have to kill D3 things just to save 1 guy. But man, that's a big power. That's a big power in Path to Glory specifically. The next one here. before you make an injury roll for an Idoneth Deepkin unit, so it's going to be like heroes and stuff, if your soul quota is 3 or more, you can subtract D3 to treat that injury as a minor injury, and you don't roll the dice. Again, same thing, if you're having trouble with your heroes, especially if you manage to bring in like an Eidolon of Mithlon or something like that, that comes in very handy. During step 7 of the Aftermath sequence, each time you recuperate a unit that has suffered casualties or reinforce a unit on your order of battle, you can spend souls from your soul quota instead of glory points to meet the cost of doing so. In such cases, 1 soul is the equivalent of 1 glory point, and you can spend any combination of souls and glory points to meet the cost. Each time you spend a soul in this way, subtract it from your soul quota. Again, a terrific ability because you're already getting points for killing stuff. Now you're getting them, in terms of how you build your army. Now, keep in mind it's very specific. Each time you recuperate a unit that has suffered casualties, so let's say you have a 10 Namarti who get thrashed and 4 of them are permadead, now you can use souls to help get them back. Or reinforce a unit on your order of battle, meaning you make it bigger. The very specific thing here is it's not letting you buy new units. I believe the Ossiarch Bone Reaper one from the White Dwarf lets you do that. This is very specific. You have to achieve the glory to be able to actually purchase the unit in the first place, but once it's on your roster, now you can start using souls to supplement it and try to keep them, hale and hearty. So that's a very specific interaction there. Keep an eye on that. So now we jump into their quests. The quests have always been fun to me because some factions have terrific ones that just make you excited to play games, and others are like, so let's see what we got here. Quest number 1. The Shelled Colossus. The Shelled Colossus, my goodness. Leviathans are extremely long-lived creatures that can serve in the same phalanx for generations. Over time, many develop useful adaptations that can aid them in battle. And so this is one we see in a lot of Path to Glory supplements. Essentially, you pick a Leviathan, you pick a trait for them, like a beast trait from the enhancement section. When you complete the quest, they get the enhancement. Very simple, okay? Next one here, quest, Essential Soul Raids. The soul raids of the Idoneth are not carried out for petty vengeance. They are a stark necessity for their race's survival. Write down that you are undertaking this quest in the quest reward section of your quest log. At the end of each Path to Glory battle, add 1 quest point to the progress section of your quest log if you win a minor victory, and add 3 if it's a major victory. So you only have to win a major victory once to be able to achieve this. Once you have gained 3 or more quest points, you can fight the Path to Glory battles using the Reaping battle plan on page 80, which we'll go to in a second. And the rewards are inside that battle plan. So let's go check it out. So you have to do a quest to be able... Let's see, that's a different one. That's Crescendo. The Reaping. Here we go. So I took a quick second to just read ahead to make sure I can condense it here pretty simply. But if we look at our deployment zone here, there's the Idoneth player, which has to split... Oh, you get the chance to split your force amongst 2 that are surrounding the Guardian, who is the opponent. And you basically have to be just about up against the line. You have to be, like 6 inches away from enemy territory. So on these things, you got like 5 inches of wiggle room here on each side, top and bottom. And then the entire center is going to be the Guardian, who, whatever opponent you're playing against, that's the Guardian. In the center here, there are 3 objectives known as, what do they call them, population markers. And so the basic gist of this is that if the Guardian has more units around one of the population markers, they can move the objective 6 inches in any direction. If there's a Deepkin unit within 6 of it, they have to move directly away from the Deepkin unit. Basically, these are people that the opponent's army is trying to protect. And so the way that the Guardian wins is by moving them towards, I believe, the settlement's edge and basically getting them off the board. That's their game plan. You, as the Deepkin player, are trying to basically encircle those population markers and capture them. Once you've captured them, they go away. Okay. And the game ends when all the population markers have either run off the board or they have been captured by the Deepkin player. Let's see. Glorious victory. If the Idoneth player, wins a major victory if 2 or more of the groups have been reaped by the end of the battle. And the Guardian wins if 2 of them make it off the board. Idoneth player gets a minor victory if there's only 1 that's been reaped. And let's see, the Guardian wins a minor victory if 1 group of civilians has been evacuated. So, yeah. Let's see. That's the reward for this. If the Idoneth player wins the battle in step 7 of the Aftermath sequence, they can reduce the casualty score of 1 unit in their order of battle to 0. That's not bad. If you have a unit of, say, 20, thralls they've just been crushed by casualty scores. Like, I have those with my Path to Glory, with my Stormcast. Units of, 2 Liberators that you're like, well, I don't really want to, spend the glory to refresh them because they're just, cannon fodder. This is a great way to, give some new life into a unit, especially if you already have, veteran abilities and that kind of stuff. Just flat out reducing their casualty score is pretty cool. And of course, that's in addition, you still collect, your soul points for destroying units and that kind of stuff. So that's all on top of this. I like that quite a bit. Now, the reason I love this mission is because it makes me think of, everything with the Deepkin is very nautical themed. And if you've ever seen a shark or even, I guess, a seal or something try to go through a school of fish. Have you ever seen that? Where the school of fish is a big mob, and as the animal moves through it, the predator moves through it, they kind of part and kind of move away. And that's kind of what I see here of the jaws of the Deepkin player are snapping shut. And yeah, they're trying to pivot and move around. They just need to get off the table. And yet the whole trick of the Deepkin player is to snatch them, right? Get them in a position where there's nowhere to run. And that's how you win. And I just thematically, I think that's cool. I've never seen one quite like this where the opponent gets total control of the objectives, but they're so hard for both players to capture. So I like that quite a bit. Let's go back to our quests here. Next one is Soul Skirmish. At the end of a Path to Glory battle, you complete this quest if you won a major victory and have at least 3 Idoneth Deepkin units on the battlefield. Hopefully you do. When you complete this quest, increase your soul quota by 1 for each friendly Idoneth Deepkin unit on the battlefield. I'm not going to lie, depending on how good of a player you are, that is terrific. If you just come in and nut stomp your opponent and you didn't lose a whole lot, like a lot of eel lists did, before. And I know the eel lists are changed dramatically, but you know what I mean. If you smash your player, that's a lot. That's a lot of soul points you're racking up. And not to mention, this is, again, in addition to what you're earning every time you kill a unit. So that's cool. If you smash 6 units, you get, 6 chances on the soul thing, depending on how many wounds they had. And then also your remnants left. That's great. Next we have, the last one here is Fat of the Land. Should the great phalanxes of the Idoneth march to war, it is expected for them to return with a significant haul of stolen souls. If victory is generous enough, a surplus of souls is often secretly claimed by the victorious warriors as a means of escaping death in their next outing. At the end of a Path to Glory battle, you complete this quest if you won a major victory and your soul quota numbers 12 or more souls. Pause there. I like that there's some incentive for banking them. That's a cool concept. When you complete this quest, in the next Path to Glory battle, you fight against an opponent who is using a Path to Glory army. You can heal D3 wounds allocated to each friendly Idoneth Deepkin unit on the battlefield at the start of each of your hero phases. You can't return slain models, but you can heal ones that exist in each of your hero phases, which is fantastic for things like the Leviathan, the Alapex, for sure. Many units, anything with multi-wounds, a lot of the thralls and stuff, they're going to die to a stiff breeze, don't worry about it. But when it comes to the bigger things, that's a neat idea. So the quests, this actually, in terms of the actual mission and the way it functions, that's my favorite of the quests that has a specific mission tied to it. I like that quite a bit. The other ones are fine. You know, I feel like the mount trait one is pretty generic at this point. You know, and that's fine. It should be. That's totally cool. The other stuff, I like that they both play with the soul quota. The idea of Fat of the Land rewarding you for like keeping your soul tank, as it were, at 12 or more is pretty nice. I like that a lot. Let's go over here to veteran abilities. I'll read these because I know it's a little bit hard to see on the camera. We have Soul Harvesters. This unit can use this veteran ability once per battle at the start of the combat phase. When it does so, increase your soul quota by 1 for each enemy model slain by an attack made by a unit in that phase. So if you have, you know, your veteran unit that you know is going to smash things, pop that on the combat phase. They are there to do work. You get extra souls. It's not crazy, you know, because it doesn't change their actual ability to kill things. It doesn't, you know, modify anything like that. But if you know that they're already going to do work, because you've put them in a good position, it just rewards you for that. I like it. Abyss Dwellers. This unit can use this veteran ability once per battle at the end of your charge phase. Okay, so we're looking at roughly the same timing as Monstrous Rampages. When it does so, until the end of that turn, this unit is affected by the High Tide ability from the Tides of Death table, in addition to any other abilities from Tides of Death it's affected by, even if it's not the appropriate battle round. That's terrific. Let's just triple check here what High Tide is. High Tide. In this battle round, the Strike First effect applies. And so if you were to do that, say, round 2, in this battle round, Deepkin units can run and still shoot and charge in the same thing. You can have someone run, charge, and strike first. So that's a pretty cool one. I like it. It just gives them a chance to always strike first once per game. That's nice. Tsunami Strikers. That's a great name. This unit can use this veteran ability only once per battle at the start of the combat phase. When it does so until the end of that phase, if the unmodified hit roll for an attack with a melee weapon by this unit is 6, that attack scores 2 hits on this target instead of 1. Also cool, again, if you get the unit in there, and especially with the tide where you can run and charge, that's terrific. Flash Flood Militia. Oh my god, that's the coolest name ever, the Flash Flood Militia. This unit can use this veteran ability once per battle at the start of your hero phase. When it does so until the end of the turn, this unit is affected by the Flood Tide ability in addition. So it's a mirror of the other one. In Flood Tide, let's just double check before I say anything wrong. That's the one where you can run, still shoot, and charge in the same phase. So that is cool. Next one is Summoners of the Gloom Tide. Use this veteran ability at the start of your hero phase. When it does so, you can set up a Gloom Tide Shipwreck terrain feature that consists of 1 scenery piece wholly within 12 inches of this unit and more than 3 inches from all objectives and other terrain features. I mean, it's cool. I don't really rate. Let me just double check here if they made any sweeping massive changes to the Gloom Tide, but honestly, it's not my favorite. It is defensible, and that could be very useful, especially if you put it somewhere near an objective or just to block line of sight. Deepkin units that don't have a mount have a ward of 5 up while they're wholly within 6 inches. Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. It's a little bunker. So once per game, you can drop a bunker somewhere. That's not bad. Last one is Ritual Practitioners. This unit has the Master of the Ether Sea ability from the Isherin Tidecaster War Scroll. Master of the Ether Sea. Let's go check it out. Okay, here we are. Master of the Ether Sea. Blah, blah, blah. If any units with this ability are part of your army, you can pick 2 different Isherin rituals to influence the Ether Sea during the battle instead of 1. Rituals, if you don't know, if you have an Isherin unit, you can have them perform a ritual which just magnifies what's going on in a given tide. So like if you set your ritual to the one that buffs, high tide, whenever high tide comes around, it gets better for your army. And so this would allow you to do 2 of those. So this is awesome. One of the reasons I like this quite a bit is that in the other battle tomes, you rarely see taking some of the most interesting rules from specific war scrolls and making it available for everybody. I think that's terrific. I wish we saw more of it. So yeah, veteran abilities in the whole, I like them. They're, I like that they're not suffocating, right? Ritual practitioners, realistically, for you to get a hero with enough glory to be able to take this, they've been in your army, they've done some work. Cool. The only one that I'm like meh on is Summoners of the Gloomtide. The only thing I will give you when it comes to these is like, you just have to pay attention to the tides. If you are playing Deepkin, understanding the tides, and now with these veteran abilities, stacking them because you're having multiple tides happen for specific units, it's going to be a lot to keep track of, but I do think it's cool. I like whenever they use the allegiance abilities in a meaningful way rather than like reroll ones to hit or something like that. All right. So we have territories. Okay. So when you end a game for Path to Glory, you can roll to see if you claim you roll to see what territories you explore, and you have the option to buy them. And it's usually a D66. If your rolls are within the 60s, meaning you roll a 6 for the tens place, you can use these instead of the ones that are in the core book. So let's see what they got. Your scouts find nothing of value in this region. This territory cannot be controlled. That is the most... Man, that is like a wet fart, uninteresting way to start. They couldn't have done that anywhere else in the first one. Whatever. Okay. 61 just means shut up. 62. Concealed Whirlway. This territory cannot be controlled, but you can pick any other territory from this table instead. That is the these two are just the laziest. I'm sorry. That's dumb. Nothing should never be a result when you're talking about the 60s. This is when you're excited, right? Like to roll a 60 something, because it's their unique stuff. It should be jam-packed with flavor. The Concealed Whirlway, letting you just straight up pick one of these other ones is, it's more interesting, but it's not in and of itself an interesting concept. I think that's kind of lame. 63, let's see if this improves. You can never have more than one territory of this type. This territory has no effect until it's upgraded. They're killing me, man. They're killing me. I hate the ones that don't do anything until you upgrade it, but we'll keep going. Cost 10 glory points to upgrade, and if you upgrade it, you gain this ability, Ether Sea Stream. During deployment in a Path to Glory battle, if you can set up a reserve unit, if you can set up reserve units, you can set up one friendly Idoneth Deepkin unit as a reserve unit in addition to any other units you can set up in reserve. If you do so at the end of your movement phase, you can set up all the units on the battlefield more than 7 inches from enemy units. That's an interesting thing. That actually is interesting. So if you do so at the end of your movement phase, you can set up that unit on the battlefield. So that it is a cool one. I don't necessarily understand why it couldn't just be free. It's just a single unit, and it gets to set up outside of 7, but that's interesting. Okay. Again, it's cool. I like the ability. Don't know why it has to be behind a 10 glory point barrier, but because functionally it's 20, because it costs 10 to buy the territory and then 10 to upgrade it. So, 64, Deserted Island. You can never have more than one territory of this type. In step 4 of the Aftermath sequence, roll a dice if you won a major victory, and on a 3-up, add 1 to the number of quest points gained towards your quest. That's cool. I got nothing much to say about it. It just helps you kind of ramp up your ability to do quests, which, seeing as how each quest is, in the background, kind of a soul raid for these guys, having ways of like making soul raids more efficient would be something that they would do. So that's cool. I like it. 65, Seamount Overlook. You can never have more than one territory of this type. Each time you upgrade a territory, reduce the cost of doing so by D3 glory points. Awesome. Especially if you're going to be in the long haul for the Path to Glory stuff and you want to have like a whole story. Getting this one early will save you tons of glory points. Great. And you can upgrade it. And if you upgrade it, when you're doing your aftermath stuff, you can make 2 exploration rolls rather than 1. So you not only get stuff cheaper, but you also get a higher chance of finding ones that you actually want. 65 is the best number so far. To upgrade it costs 15. I think that's fair. So, and the last one, 66, Corellium Plateau. This territory has no effect until upgraded. You can never have more than 1 territory of this type. If you spend 10 glory points to upgrade it, Rooted Soul Reef. At the start of your aftermath sequence, you can add 3 to your soul quota. So every game you're getting 3 no matter what. One thing I would say about that one, I don't actually hate that. Normally I don't like the ones where you have to pay for things. Like it doesn't do anything until you pay glory points for it. But if I were running a Path to Glory group and a Deepkin player just started playing and they were like really struggling to like grasp the game, or maybe this army, this is one that I would just give them to them for free. Like, here you go. It'll help the curve basically of letting you reinforce units, heal them up, that kind of thing. 3 souls is not gonna break anything. I don't believe. Yeah, that's cool. I mean, what do I like? I like 2 of them. I like 2 of them, and the third that I like is Concealed Whirlway that lets you pick one of the other 2 that I actually like. So, the only one to me that's inexcusable is the Nothing. That, when it comes to your faction-specific things, these should all be baller. The fact that that's there is like, what were you guys thinking? What were you thinking? Next, we have the Name Generator. And I'm not going to spend a ton of time here, but one thing I do want to point out is that they do give you all of the different beasts and familiars. And so if you don't know, when you're building your Deepkin army, all of these little fish are actually like basing bits that come in the kit. A bunch of these come from various heroes, or the Eidolon of Methlon has a ton of these little guys. And so they just kind of break through exactly what everybody does and basically what they add to their base. It's completely thematic. You don't have to actually go get a certain model to do this. None of it actually matters. You have a nobility first name and last name generator. Namardi names, so those are kind of your subservient class. They don't have the pomp and circumstance. You can roll to see which familiar beast they get and their name. That's the Bond Beast. So I like it. It's a cool little thing. You can add some personality to your Deepkin guy. And let's see. For this one, it's weird. I don't remember anything pointing towards this battle plan. So there was the other one. Where is it? Yeah, the Reaping. But sorry, didn't mean to bump the mic. I didn't see anything that pointed you towards this. It's pretty cool. It just shows you like reenacting a soul raid essentially. So you have the shoreline, the sentinels is trying to exit, and you're basically trying to engulf them, like a whale eating a bunch of krill. And that's how I would describe that. Yeah, and then there's some battalions if you want to play around with those. Honestly, I'm kind of done with this. It might be really cool to build like a narrative army based around them, but battalions to me, I'm like, kind of neutral on. So let's back up here. What do I think about the Deepkin Path to Glory stuff? Well, giving you the reins of control about your soul raids, I think is terrific. I love the idea that you're rewarded specifically for taking out units because, again, they want those souls. One thing I thought would be really cool is if maybe there was a veteran ability specifically for soul renders, the ones like the angler fish hook guys. Their whole job is literally to take the souls. Like he just corrals that towards him. Maybe if there was a veteran ability that like, if a unit died within 6 of him, you get an extra soul point or something. Like there's little things that I think could have tweaked more into that narrative. But on the whole, I do think it does a good job of really just being like, listen, these guys, they're raiders. They're going to pop out of nowhere. They're going to snatch as much as they can and go away. Their narrative missions, don't sleep on them. Like, bring those to your Path to Glory group because they're really cool. And they're very thematic for you. Other things, the veteran abilities were really cool. Let's just go here by the by. I like all the soul raid stuff. I love their ability to use souls to reinforce and heal units, but not buy them. That's a cool distinction. The quests, I like them all. The mount trait one is generic, but it is cool to earn a mount trait. But the rest of them all play into the core allegiance abilities or, kind of the theme of soul raiding. So I do appreciate that. As for veteran abilities, I think this is one of the better veteran abilities charts for any Path to Glory army. Mainly because I think that they're all very relevant and they're interesting. Like they play on allegiance abilities, they play on souls, that kind of stuff. I like it. It plays when it feels like it belongs contextually in the book. It's a good veteran ability chart. Territories, I think, is the most lackluster thing ever. I love the last two because they are practical, useful, and can go a long way to helping, maybe new players who certainly aren't that great at the game, but really kind of get over the hump and try to get better at it. If you're already a good player, nothing here seems super broken, like it's going to ruin the game group's experience. But the other ones, I'm like, they just don't add a lot. I guess Deserted Island, making your quests go faster, is pretty cool too. But yeah, really everything on this left side, I'm like, pass. Hard pass. The name generator and stuff, it's super fun. Like, once you have built your Deepkin army, I'm sure at some point you are going to have a bits box that is glorious. And so being able to raid it and make a Deepkin hero that is like very particular to your force with its own little creature and name and that kind of stuff, it's outstanding. It's what Warhammer is all about. Also, can we talk about this like weirdly swole seahorse right here? Dude's got gains for days. I love it. And like I said before, I think the missions are extremely relevant in presenting the story of the faction. And nothing seems nearly as punishing as some of the first and second edition Battletome faction-specific missions where it's like way over the top in favor of whoever's book it is. These seem very thematic to what the army wants to do, but I feel like the opponent still has a good game. If you're smart about building defensive perimeters around like the panic terrified civilian stuff markers, you can do quite well with this one. Like it is very possible to hold off the Deepkin army. So I think that's rad. So my thoughts on the whole, as far as the Path to Glory section for the Deepkin goes, I do in general very much like it. The only thing I'm very, very down on is the territories, but it's a D66 chart. There's tons of territories, and eventually at some point, hopefully, we'll start getting Path to Glory supplements from Games Workshop, which will have their own territories and stuff in there, so you're not reliant on this for flavor when it comes to that part of the experience. But with that being said, the veteran abilities I think are awesome. Certainly the one that lets you basically turn anyone into an Isherin Tidecaster. Like, between that and the hero generator chart with like your own little sea creature, you play whatever model you want to be your leader, and you will have ways of making that list work. And that's the kind of stuff I'm here for when it comes to Path to Glory. One thing that could be really cool, if you have a lot of Deepkin players in a group, which is a very specific thing, I understand that, but if you have a bunch of them, doing sort of a Mordheim style thing where not only are you trying to gain souls for your army, but also send some back. If you're not familiar, in Mordheim, you had to collect weird stone to be able to you would sell it and be able to earn money to, finance your warband and get new guys and weapons and all these kinds of things. But at the same time, there were mandates. There were the people who sent your warband out there wanted Weirdstone to be sent back. So you had to meet a quota, and then anything in excess was what you got to use. And I think that could be really cool for a multiplayer campaign, is everybody has to bring home so many souls, but a lot of those are going to be taken away off the top by sending them back to your main city. I don't know how I would represent that rules-wise. It's just an idea. One thing I think they could have added to this battle tome is exactly that. If you spend 5 souls, kind of like how the Fire Slayers Path to Glory thing. You can earn gold and then you can spend it for pre-game benefits. Well, if you could do the same thing, like, hey, send us 6 souls and we'll give you X. I think that would have been a really cool, like, release valve. Other ways to spend it, you know what I mean? So you don't have build up and have just a ton of souls laying around, depending on how good a player you are. So, like, I think that could have been a cool expansion. Maybe in the next book. Who knows? But let me know your thoughts, friends. I'd love to hear it. I've been enjoying these Path to Glory, supplement reviews because it's certainly the part of the game that I'm the most interested in. I just like it a lot. Being in the driver's seat of the person who's going out and doing the soul raiding, I think is really cool. It's just a neat experience. So let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Which units do you think would fit in best with some of these things? And who would you give that Tidecaster ability to? Like, you can give it to any hero that meets, the veteran ability requirements. So, like, I don't know, McKellian King. I mean, there's a bunch of cool stuff. So tell me what you would kit bash and convert to create the Uber hero for your Deepkin force. And I'd love to see it. So thank you all so much for watching and listening, and we'll catch you next time. Happy wargaming.